am joined by Brian. Brian's been with us 5 weeks or so. I'll let him share more of his story, but he's come from corporate, very successful career in corporate, looked at the profession of loan brokering, obviously looked at our program, decided to jump on in. And what we're going to talk about really is the last 5 weeks. Brian's getting into some very serious opportunities. And with our support, we're going to bring these things home and start funding and helping him build his business. So that's really the bulk of this conversation, just to give you guys some insight into well, why Brian joined us particularly, but what that experience has been like since he's come in. So ultimately, why us?
I looked probably at 20 different things like this. I mean, and they all seem like this slimy, get rich quick, scaling MLM hogwash. I was like, no. Then I was just about to give up on it. I said, you know what? I'm just going to go start my own firm and do some consulting and be done with it. And then I saw this guy with slick black hair. I was going through YouTube. I was actually watching some racing footage on YouTube or something. And this dude, Gavin, pops up on the screen. I'm like, all right, let me listen to this guy and see what he's got, what kind of magic fish oil he's going to try to sell. All of a sudden, he gets in there. First words out of your mouth were, look, this ain't going to be easy, and you're going to have to work your butt off. And I'm like, whoa, okay, you got my attention. So I kind of like sat up and I'm watching, and you just captivated me to the point where, okay, I'm going to see if this guy connects with me. So if he connects with me and this stuff's legit and he's not just looking to cash in on people, then I want to have a face-to-face with the man and understand. So I threw the stuff out like I'm supposed to. And literally within a day, I got this message and I got a call, and we're on a Zoom call. And I was like, and then the minute we talked for about an hour, I knew. I said, okay, this guy's legit. The program's legit. He's telling me it's going to be hard. And to be honest, I was kind of terrified because there's a lot of stuff. I was used to being here and having people do all of that stuff. And for me to learn it, it was terrifying. Like, wait, I got to understand what CRM? Like, no, I had an agency do that. Like all this stuff, mailing, like mass mailing and scheduling. Like we have people that, I mean, oh my God, I got to learn this. I was afraid, honestly. But because I had that fear, it gave me this desire to want to do it. And so I just took my ego and said, I don't care what I did in the past. I don't care about the trophies. I don't care about the stuff. All that does not matter. I'm looking at this as if I was the janitor walking into the job, and I say, teach me. What do I got to do? And I expect to make a ton of mistakes. So that's really the long story version of where I was, what happened in the hiatus, failed at a business, and decided I'm going back to my roots and what I like, which is finance.
Brilliant story. I want to say some things here, guys, because it kind of frames what I know Brian's going to say next. Because in the first 5 weeks, I mean, his sort of traction has been phenomenal. Now, what I'm hoping you picked up in the story that Brian told there of his life is that, you know, Marine, right? We know the character traits of Marines. Like, so what I'm getting from that, and I just wrote this down, Brian has an ability to think big. Right, way bigger than himself, way bigger than even maybe the opportunity that's presented on the table. I've met very few people that do that, right? They always tend to think around what they've maybe achieved to their point in their life. And let's just be straight, most people don't really get there, right? They try a few things and they generally give up, right? You have to have an ability to think big and bigger than yourself, and a belief in yourself that it doesn't matter if you don't know what you need to do, you're going to go get there and do it, right? So you've got that. And then I think the other thing, Brian, that I've never said this to you, but an overwhelming determination to get there, right? So I don't know the intricacies of Brian's career, but I can tell you now, I mean, you do not get to the levels that he got and not, one, be obviously good at what you do, but not have that determination, right? I'm pretty sure it wasn't just this easy ride of just getting up there, especially when he decided to take 2 steps back to pursue something different. Now, again, I've not said this to Brian, but I just want to say this because this is what you need. These are the traits you need to success in this profession. That takes courage. That takes a massive belief. There are not many people that would have worked their arse off to get to a certain point in life with all of the benefits and everything that goes with it, and then decide, you know what, I'm going to step back, lose it all, and to some extent start again on a different trajectory. Brian wouldn't be where he is today in life had he not have done that and had those risks. So the point I'm getting to before we go into the next stage is that your ultimate success comes down to you. And you is really how you perceive yourself, right? How far are you willing to go to get what you really want? That's the question. Most people fall short of it. So before you kind of, I put a video out about this the other day, before you even decide to join a program, understand that you want to do this in the first place and that you will literally do whatever you need to do to get where you want to be. So be very clear on your goal, think bigger than yourself, and we'll talk in a second about what comes next. But sorry, Brian, to interrupt there, but yeah, so you've joined us and you're 5 weeks in, and you're getting into pretty big clients right now. Now, Brian's been able to leverage his contacts, which is, you know, why not? He's built some pretty good contacts in his career, but he's also, as he said, he left his ego at the door and he's literally got in at the bottom, and he's doing stuff that in his career, he would have had teams of people doing for him, and he's doing that himself with good reason. So talk to us about...
I'm doing
it. You're probably, yeah. Talk to us about what's happened, really. You've come in and, you know, stuff's happening now, right?
It is, but if I could give any... My son asks me all the time. He's like, Dad, everywhere we go, you don't know, like, do you know everybody in town? The answer is no, but I like the old saying, I don't know a stranger, right? I don't care if you're at the supermarket. If you overhear a conversation and someone talking about real estate, like, that's always intrigued me. So when I was doing this thing with the charity, what I left out was, who donates to a charity? All of your town, county, and surrounding area big players, right? Your development guys, your car dealership owners, these guys. I never miss an opportunity. And maybe the listeners here, maybe the guys on our team on Ion are not going to rub elbows with those type of people that I did. That's fine. But at the end of the day, are you just worried about mining on the computer when you're out to dinner with your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, you're out with your friends, and you meet somebody who's a real estate agent? Take 5 minutes to say, hey, I just overheard you're a real estate agent. My name is fill in blank, and say, this is what I do. I do funding for people who do flipping, or you're a construction, you're a builder. So those couple of years I said that I failed my business, I truly believe that everything happens for a reason, and every single interaction could be a divine interaction if you choose to make it that. So I always fill my phone up at least 20 a week. I will meet new people that I've never met before. And in the little notes at the bottom, I'll say, Gavin does this, blah, 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 blah. So when I go search, like, who's the guy that does the apartments? And I just put apartments in my contact, Gavin's name comes up. Hey, by the way, I'm working for Ion Capital. This is what I'm doing. We met at the supermarket. Because I write those notes, met at the supermarket this date, your son is Daniel, and our kids go to school together. Whatever those little personable things are, so that they remember that, oh, I remember who that guy was. And you're not reaching out cold, but it is cold. So those are the things that I really learned to capitalize. I didn't realize I knew all these people. It was the training and the Patrick and the Ryan's training and David, and you sit in these clinics and all of a sudden you just shut up. This is hard for me to do, but you shut up and you listen, and they go, this is how I got this deal. This is how examples. All of a sudden light bulbs start. Well, when you write that note down, it doesn't stop there. That's when you say, okay, I got to make a personal change. That means I need to get out every time I go out, and I need to be attentive to who's my surroundings and who I'm interacting with. You know what? If you ever see a real estate agent, they're pretty pathetic. But I tell you what, when it comes to this, because they have no shame. I'm a realtor. My name is. That is their, like, everything, their life revolves around real estate, because they know friends, family, people they interact with all have a house. Everyone is their client. Everybody is a lead. So we need to kind of learn from that, because our old jobs, I don't care if you were a stay-at-home mom, I don't care if you were an executive, I don't care if you worked at a car dealership. Everybody now needs to do a mind shift of, you have money. You have the one thing that every person needs. Buy a car, buy a house, grow a business, scale a business. Everyone needs money. Even the ones that have the money, like the guys I'm dealing with and the ladies I'm dealing with, they've got $20–30 million in the company account. But those get rich things that all these people look at, using other people's money, those are the only ones that can do that, because they can go to the bank and say, I want to leverage 20 million to get 2 billion. They can do that. Normal people, these home flippers, I mean, I'm Christopher, bless that guy's heart. Oh, I got a deal for the first 3 weeks. He's like, not rule doesn't work. Nope, that doesn't pencil. I got a little discouraged. I was like, man, I'm not going to be good at this. And that's when I kind of looked at myself and said, okay, who do I know? Went through my phone and just started writing down and just started asking for meetings. Take your LinkedIn account, and I go through and I just find anybody that president owns a concrete company, president owns a building company, president, hey, I love your business, love to learn more. That's all I say, click. Well, they look at my background on LinkedIn and go, oh, okay, this guy's an executive, blah, blah, blah. What do you have in mind? I'm not trying to sell you nothing, just need 10 minutes on the phone. I don't tell them nothing until I get them on the phone. I'm like, hey, I just did a huge career change. This is what I used to do. I can respect your time. I respect what you do. I'm in the construction business now. I fund commercial deals. If you know anybody that's a developer you do work for that needs funding or complains about it, I'd love to be able to help them out. And you know what? I'll be able to take care of your referral or whatever. Done. 10-minute call. I might not hear from that person ever, or maybe 10 months from now or next week. I don't know, but I just plant those kinds of seeds.
You see how simple this is, guys? Look what Brian's saying there. Right now, I'm kind of second guessing what you might be thinking. Like, well, I don't have this guy's resume. I can't compete with that kind of background. How can I send out, if I've only worked in, and I'm not saying you have, but maybe a fast food restaurant or something, how can I compete with that? The point is, if you take what Brian's been saying, we're like 5 handshakes away. I can't remember who said this, but we're 5 handshakes away from the person we ultimately want to meet, right? So if you come into this industry, you've got to be very clear on who your audience is. Now, we provide you with all of that support and training. So let's assume that we've done that. Then it's, where are these guys hanging out, both offline and online? They exist. They're real people, right? What it comes down to is your ability to get yourself in front of them. And to Brian's point, and I just wrote this down, own who you are. If you're a loan broker, like you said, you've got access to all this money. Everybody wants money in some way, shape, or form, right? Now, not everybody's going to get that money in any shape or form, but that's your job to understand who you are, what you're offering, which is that's the key point for Brian. He's still learning the products, but he's put a lot of emphasis into understanding what it is he's actually offering to these folks, right? Excuse me. And then you just take the steps to get yourself in front of them. So you're always networking, you're always selling, because you don't sort of walk into a social gathering and suddenly you're no longer a loan broker and can access this stuff. Most social gatherings, and this works worldwide, have different people from different walks of life that either want what you've got or know people that want what you've got. So then it just...
And the key to that is, not to cut you off, but the key to that is, when you're in those environments, if you keep your mouth shut and say, you deny yourself the opportunity to share what you do in a very cordial way, well, the next time you go to that barbecue or you go to that family outing and somebody else comes, someone's husband or wife shows up and says, oh my gosh, you need to meet Gavin, because I know you do development. This guy like helps support and fund like a lot of development construction stuff. Well, it's kind of easy then at that point, someone else is giving you a friendly referral right there, and you guys are having food and around family and friends. It's very low key. The chances of you getting that business, or at least getting a shot, is pretty good.
Yeah.
But if you don't tell anybody what you do because you turn that switch off, this isn't a job. Even if you work fast food or it doesn't matter. Every job, even my job, I mean, well, my phone ring all hours of the night, but at a certain point, hypothetically, at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock or whatever the time is, you're supposed to shut down, have dinner with your family, and then it's over, right? Your day is over, and you Groundhog's Day, you start the next day. But in this business, yes, your actual physical work may stop on the computer or making phone calls or grinding or whatever. But at 7, 8 o'clock at night, having a cocktail with some friends, you're still that loan broker. You're still a person that, if there's a person at that table that need to know, you need to figure out a way to bring that up for a second, just so that they know who you are and what you do. And 9 times out of 10, these people that meet you, in America anyway, I can tell you, the first thing I want to know is, hey, what's your name and what do you do? Like, it's almost like a prerequisite to have interaction. So there's really no excuse. And to your point about the fast food person, because I want to go to that, just dispel that right away. Because I got to, when I was doing charity, and I won't leave his name out, but he owns every 40 car dealerships in the area. Do you know who his number 2 guy is? A person that used to work at Chick-fil-A. And you know why? And the guy didn't have any college education, but his personality was bigger than life. And every time this owner would go into Chick-fil-A, going by himself, he didn't treat him any different. he actually got the job for how he treated like the elderly that came in, and everyone got treated the same with the same smile and the personality. He loved what he's perceived. He loved what he did, and he took customer first. Almost said his name, but that owner offered him a job to work up the ranks because of his traits. He goes, because he could train him on the business, but he couldn't train that personality trait that was in his mind. Like, here's a guy worth 40, $50 million, making $300,000-$400,000 a month, pulling into a fast food restaurant, made such an impression on this man that he couldn't stop. Every time he go back, he's like, how am I going to find a position for this? I want this guy. How am I going to find a position for this person? Like, I want him around me. Like, I feel good when I go to this place. So it doesn't matter if you can present yourself in such a way that you know the business and you're a joy to talk to and be around, then the business will come to you. But you just have to have that confidence, and it takes time, because I didn't have it at first. I still don't really. I mean, if I didn't have Christopher, I mean, there's a lot of questions. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, or maybe, or you know what? Let me get back to you. I don't know.
But that, I mean, humbling. Actually, to your point there, I mean, folks, again, that's you're never going to know everything at any time in life, really, right? That's the thing. But again, the key there is in Brian's situation. If he doesn't know the answer, just look at how I'm just talking about you while you're there.
Yeah.
Look at how we came across there, right? He doesn't know the answer, but his presence still has confidence in, I don't know the answer, I'll get back to you, right? To dovetail that into the program and the reason we have the support we have, and Brian's mentioning a guy called Christopher. Christopher works hand in hand with Brian. So where he doesn't know the answers, Christopher kind of comes in and is either presenting the answers to Brian, or he's taking over in a certain situation, so he will give the answers. The bottom line is that there's no need to concern yourself about credibility problems, or I don't know this, how am I going to do it? That's the purpose of the support. However, you still have to bring your minerals, as it were, in, to the table. So you've got to have that determination again. That's the reason Brian's doing what he's doing. It's not because of what he doesn't know. He's not worried about what he doesn't know. It's the determination to build out the vision that he's set for himself. And our job is to plug in with the support to help him achieve that vision. Now, Brian's, again, I'm talking about you here, but he's not a stupid guy, right? If he didn't have confidence in our support with the types of people he's now getting in front of, then, to be frank, he wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be on this call having this chat, right? So everybody's got to deliver in that dynamic, in that relationship. And that's what we're presenting with this program. It isn't some training with a bunch of online videos and you go through and 12 weeks later you're this loan broker. Like, get real, guys. Stop believing all the hype and the BS out there. It's a serious business and a serious profession. If you don't have the ability, or you don't have the confidence to get the ability to, at the very least, be able to engage with people in a confident manner, you've got no chance at this. It's never going to happen, right? So if you think, okay, I'm shy and I can't talk to people, that's okay. Same with me. I'm an introverted character. I've had to work on my ability to get out there and kind of network with the right people. But it was, again, the determination that shortcoming at that time for me wasn't going to stop me getting where I wanted to go. And I'm pretty damn sure Brian's in a similar sort of fashion. So it comes down to just being clear about what you want. Now, with that said, back to Brian, can you sort of talk about, high level, without giving too much away, some of these opportunities and clients that you've been given some really good opportunities? Now, again, this has only come because Brian's got the confidence to say, well, ask for the business for one. And then at the same time, us coming in and supporting to ensure that we know these opportunities, right? So let's talk about that for a little bit. What's kind of happened day 0, 5 weeks in? Who are we talking to?
Okay. Well, first I had a couple of commercial real estate gentlemen that I'm really good friends with. We play golf. We kind of hang out. And I just laid on the humble, right? I was like, look, and they all know me from before. I mean, these are guys that used to ask me for tickets to the race and, introduce me to so-and-so, get an autograph or what. So they're used to me in that light. So me coming to them saying, look, guys, I got to ask you guys advice. Like, what do I have to do? Like, I just want to earn your business. I want to earn people's respect. Like, how do I do that? And I thought they were going to laugh at me or be like, man, what are you? nope, they like embraced me and like, hold on. The next day I had like 6 meetings, lunches with people, coffee, and I'm like, it was kind of overwhelming. So then I said, what do I need to be doing? And all 3 of them I know that are in commercial real estate. One's an investor, small guy, but he's, maybe 20 million a year, 15 million a year in investment. And that's small in this area. But and then 2 commercial brokers. One owns the brokerage and one's his top producer. Those 2 guys told me the exact same thing. Have you ever heard of the Real Estate Investor Association? There's one in every town. First thing you need to do is pay your $199. Get to the Monday meeting once a month. Put your sports coat on and a t-shirt and jeans, and don't overdo it. Don't show up like some banker with a tie. That's not going to cut it. And they said, look, I'll take you to the first one as my guest and do some introductions. And then, holy moly, if I didn't know anybody, because that's where I say it doesn't matter who I know. If you do stuff like, what is that? The flock of a feather, whatever that saying is, be where they are. Like just seeing your face and talking to them about golf and race cars or whatever. Don't even talk about business. Like the takeaway, like, what is it you do again? Oh, I do funding, commercial funding for development, new construction, big flips, that kind of stuff. All right. So, hey, what do you do again? And I always push it back to them. Like, hey, everybody loans money. You don't want to talk to me. They're buying me. They're not buying. I can go to any bank and get funding. But if this guy has things that I like to, now mind you, the minute I walk away from him and I got his business card, again, that little cheat thing, I put all those bullet notes in my phone. So the next time I talk to that guy, it's like, hey, how's your wife so-and-so? And you said your son had his first baseball game. How did that go? That's my excuse to follow up, not the, oh, you had this big firm. Like everyone calls them on that. Second thing is just really like to, I just really like to get immersed in the town with supporting it. Cause I did a lot of car shows for charity. We raise it for sexually abused kids in, the county here. So I got to know a lot of like councilmen and councilwomen, and I go to those meetings. They have them every week in your town across America. You go there and every developer builder is begging to build an apartment complex, a strip mall, an office building, or neighborhood or whatever. Well, it'd be pretty good for you as the funding guy that's going to, or a girl that's going to fund money for these projects. If they see you in these meetings and you're sitting next to them and they're, I don't know if I can say this, but they're bitching and complaining about what the zoning is and what it's not. And, hey, you know what? I know that councilman. See if I can make an introduction to you. You know him personally? I said, yeah, I know him. We did some work together in the past. I know this guy from Adam. I walk him over there. John Doe, meet Councilman so-and-so. He'd like to discuss the project and figure out how he can do what's best for the town. All right, Brian, you know him. Okay, we'll talk to him. You don't think that doesn't go a long way, but it took me a year to sit, this is well before this program, just to go to those meetings and be seen. So it's more about, calls are great, emails are awesome, but face-to-face, you can't beat it. And when people get to know who you are, and you got to give a little, you're going to have to support, you're going to have to donate your time, you have to be real. You can't say that you're building this relationship with no substance. You can tell me you're honest till blue in the face, but until I put $100 in front of you and see if you steal it or not, I don't know if you're honest. I mean, you can tell me you are, but these people, that's who they like to run with. That's who they like to support. And once you get that one deal, which is going to happen, they're going to say, look, all right, I'll give you this little one and prove yourself. Everything else needs to stop. Like I stopped Facebook mining. I stopped everything that I was told to do by my mentor, by you, by Ryan. I didn't even go to a clinic for a week. I mean, this is after 4 weeks of doing it every day. But the minute I got this first opportunity with the one you saw for 1.95 million, that's 2 deals in one. When that guy sat me down and said, I'm giving you one shot to prove yourself, I worked all that to get that deal. So all the other stuff can be put on hold. I knew that I had to make that switch. So now it's been Gab and I've been, following up. How's it going? First deal, it just on a instant message. You check because I put it up on the board and you'll like say, hey, how's this deal going? And keep in touch. Ryan does the same thing, but Christopher's been, hey, I need this paper, I need this, and been supportive walking me through it. And we're about 10 days to the finish line. Well, once that one goes and I prove it, now I can start because now they'll start telling other people, right? So this first deal has got to be right. To do all of what I just said and then just let it go and hope your mentor does it for you, you're missing out on a learning experience that's the best one probably for your career. Because ask the questions. I was totally against myself. I listen to my own voice. Man, don't bother Christopher. He's busy. He's got his own deals. You're bringing him deals, and you want to call him every 5 minutes. I mean, I don't bother him that way, but text him and send him, instant messages about how's it going? What do I need to know? He's never once said, man, stop, I'm busy. Like, no, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. So the next deal, he knows that if he teaches me, I'm going to have come proper. Like, I'll have all the right documents. I'll have everything I need, which in turn makes his job easier, which eventually he'll be able to pass it off to me completely and say, you're on your own, fly on your own now, right? If you need me in a pinch, call me. That's what this whole program's about. I have not met one person, my peers. I mean, I can name 4 or 5 people that I'm in the group with. We're on clinics together. We start talking. We're on the phone. I got one ex-Marine master sergeant over here, and we've hit it off really well. He has his own firm, and he joined ION. And he said, look, I started my firm 2 years ago on my own. I wish I would have seen Gavin 2 years ago, because everything he's teaching me, I learned in a month that took me a year to figure out. So it's been great. I'm glad I pulled the trigger. And I'm going to be honest, I was apprehensive because I've never done Amway. I've never done any of this other stuff. I think it's foolish. And honestly, at first, my gut was like, hope I don't get duped, right? But everything is there. Everything is easy. And my goal is to grow this into a brick and mortar if Gavin and Ryan agree, I would love to do that. Like, I want a place where I can train people to be ION brokers. I am never going to leave. For me, why would I? If I got to pay my pound of flesh up the top, I don't have to do my processing. I don't have to hire those people. I don't have W-2 employees. I've already ran it. The EBITDA and the P&L just makes sense. Like 10, 20% in perpetuity, but I build a friendship and relationship with people. It's worth it. I'll just run the office like an insurance company and just kind of get 10 people underneath me and show them how to make money and show them how to do it. And then I'll build an office for them that I'll pay for. And then they kick it up to me. And then they just kind of like Nationwide does, or all the other insurance companies that used to do. And that way we build a network here. And then I think across the country, we can kind of spread it. Now I'm crazy, probably, might happen never or 10 years from now, but that's my personal vision. Because there's money in real estate. I want to invest in my future. And if I invest in my future, I want these loans that are making money on to pay the payment on the building that I own. Because when I'm 70 and I sell that building, I want all that CapEx for myself for retirement. So the money needs to be working for me. You can make $25,000 a month, but if you take $25,000 a month and you spend it on fancy cars and watches and houses, I can tell you from experience, you're going to work so hard to maintain that you're going to have a house you never visit, a car you never drive, a motorcycle you never ride, and a boat you never see, and a wife and family that don't know you. If you allow the money to control you like that and worry about what other people think, don't fall for that. Like, stay to a point where if the world falls apart, like we've all seen it happen once, could happen again, have enough set aside that it doesn't matter what tomorrow brings. You're not stressed about it. I don't know. I've got one person I'm working with right now in this business that I asked him, what do you want to do? Because after your video, all of a sudden I got this instant message and he called me and we started talking. It's like, oh, I want to buy this brand. I want one of those new C8 Corvettes and I want to get a bigger house. And I go, dude, you're putting your money in all the wrong stuff, all these depreciating assets. Like, why don't you just stay where you're at and say, here's a rule that I live by. If I can afford to buy 10 of them, I'll buy one of them. So if you can afford to buy 10 C8 Corvettes cash, then you'll allow yourself to buy that one. Because that way the assets will never have you have them. And if you don't live by that now and small, like what's the good book say? Those that can be, responsible in the small things will then be given big things. Well, I had that problem. I did it, learned young. If I could give that to anybody, it's valuable. Grow this business for the future. Don't grow it for hand to mouth.
You're not getting this kind of advice anywhere, guys. Bang on the money again, what you said. There's quite a few notes that I've kind of taken down from that. And I guess so where do we put this? Hopefully what you picked out from what Brian said there is, look, what's the real key here? Relationships, right? Relationships take a bit of work. They take investments like planting the seed, and you've got to keep nurturing. You've also got to be genuine. You can't be fake because people will spot that. You're building a genuine relationship. But that's the key to your future success and everything that Brian's basically alluded to there. Nothing happens without that. So again, if you're looking at these programs and you're seeing these quick wins and blah, 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 and it seems all amazing, you're not stupid, right? You know that's bullshit. It doesn't work that way. Relationships are built over time, and that's just a simple fact of it. And then to what Brian's saying again, we talk a lot about, time freedom, wealth creation. Most people don't really even know what wealth creation means because most people are just trying to make the money to pay the bills for that given month. So one of the things I want to sort of talk about here is that Brian already gets it, but that's the purpose of this profession. It's wealth creation. It's not to just make 10K a month, because to Brian's point, you start living to your means at 10K a month. And I know a lot of people that make a lot more than that and they're still broke, right? So you've just got more expensive toys, a bigger house, but you're still broke. You're still doing exactly the same thing. There you go, right? I mean, and again, we're not making this up. It's all out there online. It all exists, right? So if you're going to come and do something like this, you 100% have to change the mentality you've probably got right now, because you've not been trained properly in how to make money, how to play the long game, how to build stuff that's actually sustainable. Most of the stuff we see online, it's all about the quick wins because that's the way the marketing works. That's the way they make their bucks. But you've got to learn to see through that and understand that nothing now has changed. Humans are the same as they used to be back in the 1920s when, it's the same thing. Human to human contact, shaking hands. And okay, look, maybe you can't meet face to face, but Zoom is a great alternative. But the bottom line is it comes down to you, who you believe you are, backing yourself to actually succeed here, and ultimately playing the long game. There's one thing I want to mention on Brian's, you were talking about networking and just sort of talking to people. If you struggle with that naturally, and I was someone that actually did, and there's a great book, you might have heard of it, Brian, called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Such a simple book, written, what was that, 1920s that was written in? Mm-hmm. And it's still relevant today. And it's so simple. And it's just the art of having a conversation. And believe me, you really think, no, it can't be that simple, right? And you start practicing it. And like, you start to get people kind of, you hear on the grapevine, oh, that Gavin's a good guy, great conversation. And all you've done is ask the questions all night. They've done the talking because most people love to talk about what it is they do and what they know and all of those good things. So you let them do that and then you start forming the basis of a genuine relationship. That's where your money lies, guys, because now, no matter what your network, I guarantee you have access to at least one whale, regardless. If you put your mind to it and work it out, you've access to one whale right now. And outside of that, you can get into as many business owners of a good, I'm talking good quality. I'm not talking the high risk market. Get access to those people or even real estate investors. You just got to stop listening to what most of these other programs are putting out there in terms of how you do it. They've defined essentially what most loan brokers do and operate like in this marketplace. And Brian's here proving that you don't need to do any of that. He's not even spending hardly any money. He's not marketing. He's not paying for ads. He's not putting thousands of dollars in to run leads. None of that, and that's the point.
I'm not buying some lead from some guy I don't know. And it doesn't make any sense.
There you go.
I run into 40, 50, 60 people a day that I physically bump into, whether it's the carpool line with the kids or whatever. Somebody knows somebody, right? That's the 6 degrees of separation. So as long as people know who you are, what you're looking for, and who a good lead is, people will sell for you as long as they like you, as long as you can build that relationship. So I would much rather have my phone ring and say, hey, Brian, you don't know me. This is John. Gavin told me I need to call you. I got this project. I'm buying a house on the water and I'm flipping it. What do I got to do? Well, what do you want to meet you at the property? I don't tell them nothing on the phone. I want to meet them. Like, hey, what, you ready? You want to do lunch? You want to grab a coffee? Let's just meet at the house. That turns into an hour conversation that I can see who he is, why he's doing it. Is this a one and done, or do you want to do this to supplement your income? Oh, I work at Lowe's headquarters. I just want to do 4 or 5 of these a year because I have all the access to the trades and everybody. Okay, well, maybe I can help you with that. And then it's always servitude. Like, let me help you get the money. Let me look, but I know a lot about construction because I came up with that with my father. So that's kind of a thing that you might have to learn. But if you're going to be in this business, that's another thing too. If you're going to do flips or you're going to do construction, you better know what horizontal and vertical means. When a developer says, nope, I only do the horizontal on these projects, I have somebody else come do the vertical. If you look at him or her like a deer in the headlights, you're like, horizontal is the guy with the big heavy machines you used to play with as a kid, his little Tonka toys. They move all the dirt and they get everything ready. They put the streets in. They do underground, which is sewer and whatever. The vertical guys are the company, the construction that build the asset, the hotel, the apartment, whatever. Then you got to know your trades, what a parapet wall is, what brown board is, what structures are, what a bulkhead, a header, know those terms. Like my biggest thing is you can get them online for free. You don't even need to buy the builder's thing. Go look online and you can get these builder's tests to get the books. People that already took the test, sell them on like Letgo for $20, for $3,000 worth of books. But just, hey, I know it's boring reading, but you know what? Highlight it. Just know enough to be dangerous so at least you can engage in the conversation. And you don't need to do that. I don't want to overwhelm you because there's a lot of stuff you need to learn with Ion. But I'm saying eventually those are some of the materials you need to be reading, because if that's the genre you want to go, like if you don't want to do the whales that do huge commercial development, then you don't need to know that. If you're just going to stay with homes and flips, you should probably know how a house is built. You should probably know talk to some inspectors. Take a house inspector out to lunch and say, in this area, because we live in the South, we have termites. Like, what is the worst thing you find in homes? Like, what's the biggest thing that needs to be fixed? Shut up and let them talk. And they'll say, oh yeah, we got a big thing about termites here. It could be a $10,000 thing, could be this, could be. Next thing you know, when you're talking to a guy that wants to do a flip, you're like, hey, first thing you better do is get an inspection, have termite checks, because that could be a $10,000 swing out of the way and your profits are out the window. He didn't even think of that maybe. And it's humid here. We got black molds. You got to check that too. Knowing that stuff enough to be dangerous to get the person to question their process is bringing value, because you're not just looking to give them money. Now you're like, wow, you're actually telling me you might not want to do this deal. I just want you to, I don't want to get you the money and then you don't do the due diligence and show up. And I want you to be successful, because guess what? When you do the second one, you're going to call me. When you do the fifth one, you're going to call me. If you fail on the first one and go out of business and lose your entire savings, you're never going to call me. So let's do this together and let's help each other out. I hate to keep going back to that, but it's a continuous education. If this is the business you want to be in, and our focus is, yes, business stuff, and we do cash out refis on buildings, but still has to do with real estate. So if you really want to do this, you really have to be a real estate aficionado eventually. And then you have to learn at the same time, you're going to have to learn how the funding works. And I'm still learning that. Like, I understand EBITDA, cash flow, P&L. I can look at that in a $400 million budget and I can see it and figure it out. I can read it. I can tell you where you got redundancy, where you can find CapEx. Where you're going to spend CapEx to get more quantifiable ROI, all that stuff I understand. This finance is different. And it's going to be easier for me to learn, but I still have to learn it. Like, how do the banks work? What documents do they want? How do I streamline this process? How do I train my investors to give me what they want every time? So it's just hey, I just sent you an email. I don't have to ask them for anything. Like, I got the documents, what the construction costs, the outfits are going to cost, what the 3 comps for the houses around the area are, all the things I need. I'm not going to fill out that little form. Eventually, I'm just going to say, look, here's my punch list. Send me all the information. Now I send it to Christopher, but eventually I'm going to learn, and how do I send it to the bank? Then I need to train the bank, because right now I had a lesson learned. The bank calls my investor, who's a gazillionaire, and says, I need this document. 2 hours later, I need this. 4 hours later, I need that. Finally, I get my phone call that says, I'm done with this. Like, what is this going on? Like, I am running a multi-million-dollar company. I don't have time to be answering this, young lady every time she calls me about a piece of paper. I thought you were going to handle this. Lesson learned. I had to fix it. I had to stand up to him. I had to fix it, but I had to stand up to myself too. It was a failure on my part. I made a mistake and I made the assumption that it was all going to go smooth. Not saying that anybody did their job wrong, but what I'm saying is my job now is to take that and go, okay, the next time I put something in, then I need to set expectation. I'm going to give you all the documents you asked for. Before you talk to my client, you're going to send me a list of every question you have one time. Because if you don't ask the question, you're not getting the answer because they'll come after me again. You're coming one time. I don't care if it takes 3 days, but I want one list of questions. Of course, that's in a perfect world. You're going to have stuff that falls apart or, falls through the cracks, but at least you can manage the expectations. So these are the things that you learn as you go. And it's only been 5 weeks. If we would have had this conversation 4 weeks ago, this video would have been like 3 minutes long. I would have said what I did. I'm buried in trying to find Facebook people. Don't bother me. I don't have time for this, right? Like, I don't even know how to set up the CRM. Like, it's been taking me 4 hours to figure that out.
But actually, there's another good point, right? You might be thinking, shit, like all this stuff that Brian's saying to me, it's like overwhelm, right? First thing, Brian does this really well, bite-sized chunks. He doesn't worry about what he doesn't know yet. He just works out what he needs to know right now, right? So it's just chip away, chip away, chip away. And through doing that, you started to come to the conclusion, who do I know? And you started to leverage your own network. And that's now starting to play out really, really well. And then the other part, I think you mentioned value, is such an underrated word, I find. Like, how do you add value? What does that even mean, right? And I don't think a lot of people realize it. So if you are coming into this profession, listen to what I'm saying about value. Your wealth, ultimately, for me, this is my opinion, is directly correlated to the value you add to your network. Now, your network includes your friends. It includes your extended friends that you might meet through your profession. It doesn't even necessarily have to be people that you know that you've met face to face. It can be online like this. The bottom line is that you have to have an absolute sense, like clear sense of the value you provide to the people that you know. And value could be even just as a case of that. And this is, again, to Brian's point earlier on, people label people. They love to label people because it puts everyone in a box. This is why it's so important that even if you're in a social gathering, you make sure they label you as the money guy, the guy that can get them money, right? Because they're never going to think, oh, I remember Gavin. He was that, he was a funny dude or whatever. They're going to remember the money guy. What was his name? Oh, Gavin, that was his name. Yeah, who knows Gavin, right? That's what you've got to do. That builds it out. There's value. I get you money. I offer you value. So have a real understanding of that value. And what I'm also hoping you're getting, I haven't had to do much talking here because Brian's literally just saying it exactly what you go through, what you've got to know and how it all kind of works. What I'm hoping you're understanding is that whilst it may seem to you, I don't even know how to do that or how I can do that, it isn't rocket science, this stuff. It's just having that ability to back yourself. So, okay, Brian had a career, and he's kind of, to be honest with you, you've just kind of settled into this really well. I know you're going to go boom very soon. Maybe it's going to be a bit harder for you, but that's the point. Not everyone's journey is the same. We have the program to assist and help with that. But as I said earlier on, the bottom line is it comes down to you, your ability to back yourself, and actually, to Brian's point, screw it up, make mistakes. He got into a situation with a client where he made a mistake, and that's the point. It doesn't matter. You don't know what you don't know until you know it, right? Now he knows it. He won't do that again. But the other point is you still rescued it. And the way you rescued it was being assertive. All of these characters you come across are kind of alpha type personalities. We say this a lot. You have to be confident in your own position. To Brian's point, he removed the opportunity from that client, and in no uncertain terms kind of basically said that if you want this deal done, you need to do what I need to do. I told you certain things are going to happen. So either you're playing at this or you're not. And if you're not, let's get it done. Long story short, the client's back on side. He's doing exactly what needs to happen. Now, where I'm leading to with this is very simply, and we say this a lot, do not make the mistake that all you need to do here is get a client that qualifies, you put that to the lender approves it, that's paid out, and then you're banking your commission. It's nowhere near that simple, although the theory is that, right? It comes down to your ability to drive the results that you want, period. Everything stops with you. So if your client's acting up or not playing ball, that's on you. If the lenders aren't playing ball, that's on you. Your job is to know what's going on at any given time of the day with the deal, the clients, or whatever it may be, and to make sure that you're heading off any particular problem so the wheels are greased right the way through to actually getting the thing funded. And that's really it. Now, you don't need to know what all that stuff is right now. That's the purpose of what we train. But what we're training here, and I'm hoping Brian can now support this, is that it's how to genuinely be a professional business loan broker and build the actual business. Not to come in, maybe fund a couple of deals because we got a bit lucky and then realize this thing's hard and give up. Like, what's the point of that? It's a genuine business with a genuine opportunity. And if you take it seriously, like Brian is, Brian's actually seems to have kind of lost the connection there. So I'll finish this off. If you take this seriously, like Brian is, and you follow the training in the way we've laid it out, and you leverage the support that we offer people, you cannot not get success because we're showing you the stuff that we do. Okay. Now, if the thought of all of this just scares you silly and you think, oh, this isn't what I expected, maybe it isn't for you. And I'm going to hopefully help you out now. Hey, Brian.
I'm back. Sorry.
That's all good,
Lost
man.
your signal for a minute.
No problem. I was actually just wrapping it up. I was just saying that if the thought of everything we've discussed right now scares people silly, maybe even to the point that this isn't for you, that's okay. Hopefully we've saved you a few $1,000 on signing up to some program and a bunch of time, you know. But if the idea of I can do that, you know, if that's you right now, then book a call with us, right? There's a link below. Again, Brian can attest to this. We don't sell this program. This is as much about us and it is you. We know the character traits that get result here. So if we felt through talking to you that you didn't have them or couldn't get them because the determination wasn't there, we tell you, we don't want your money because there's no point. This program doesn't work if there's a bunch of people just sat around scratching their head doing nothing, right? It works because people have the determination to succeed and we can support that and therefore get to success, as Brian's literally about to start experiencing with his clients and deals. So do you want to say anything just to wrap it up, Brian?
Yep. I have one thing, and all of that stuff I said is this. When you get a deal, I don't care if it's a $70,000 deal or a $10 million deal, you walking through that with the client, understanding what they need and working with them, walking the property, doing those types of things. When you learn that experience, you can then share, especially if you're working with somebody that's really good, that's done a lot of them, listen to them, learn from them while you're doing it. And then when you find somebody that's not as good or just starting out, you can say, hey, I have a client, this is how they do it. Now, never give the name, you never give their, competitive advantage of what they're doing, but now you're using the other person's experience as your own and handing it away, right? So just like I did with the car dealership guy, I shared with you how he found a person, this little gem, and how he figured out a way to move them. You got that story. I had nothing to do with it. I heard that story from him at another time, how that person got their job. So it's the same thing when you're working with these clients over time. Next thing you know, you understand how all the processes work because you've been taught by showing that you care. So you're really getting a free education for just showing people that you care. So it's a win-win. So I don't want you to take all this and go, oh my God, I got to buy books and I got to study it. No, just listen. If you just listen on the first deal and say, hey, I've never done commercial real estate flip before. I funded some. Our team has funded thousands. I'm just really curious to learn how you do it. How do you do business? People love to brag and show off. They'll sit there and show you and tell you everything they do. You're giving them money. So they're giving you your social security number and everything else. They better trust you, right? So that's all I have. Like, don't try to learn all this in one day. Just take every day as a learning experience so that you can pay it forward the next day.
I can't really add to that because Brian just hit the money all the way through this. It's exactly it. And hopefully the main takeaway that hopefully you guys are getting is that this isn't rocket science. It just requires determination, a brain, and the ability to really just go get what you want. And then the idea of our program with the support is that we can really plug a lot of the knowledge gaps, the areas you don't know what you need to know. So if we are getting in front of the right clients, we can still bring those opportunities home, still make our money, and still build the business whilst you're learning what you need to learn. And with that, guys, I think, Brian, thanks for your time. We'll bring this one to an end and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.